Good evening, everybody. This is Jason with another episode of the Inked Up Runner, and this is an interview that is really near and dear to me. They don't know this because I didn't tell them prior to the interview, but so when I got in the run and I was trying to figure out, I got in and I did the half marathon thing, and then I got talked into running the marathon, which was miserable at the Rock and Roll, and then I got told that there is this thing called an ultra marathon, and I was like, "What in the hell is an ultra marathon?" And they're like, "Oh, it's just 5 miles more than a marathon." And I was like, "Well, okay, this can't be too bad." And so I was like, "What is a good ultra marathon?" And so everybody's like, "You've got to run Yamacraw. That is the best first 50K you can ever run." And so I'm sporting my Yamacraw shirt, and I got it, and you'll be able to see behind me, my Yamacraw medal is actually one of my favorite medals that's
cool.
on the wall. So I'm with Brian and Shelley Gajus, the race directors from Yamacraw and No Business, the No Business 100, and many. I mean, I know they got some other races, but we'll talk about those. But No Business and Yamacraw are two humongous races that are held here in the Southeast, and races where if you want to run them, if you don't sign up immediately, you're not going to get in. So thanks for being with me tonight, Brian and Shelley. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. That's actually a pretty cool story to know that Yamacraw was your first. And I guess you probably were a bit surprised when what you heard it was like 6 more miles, and then you found out when you got to 31 there's a couple more miles to go.
Well, and so the year I ran it, and I know Yamacraw is a race that I grew I lump it in with a race called Black Toe, because you guys typically always have really rough weather around your races. Like John Harden, it doesn't matter when he schedules Black Toe, there's going to be torrential flooding every single time. The year I ran it, it flooded. The course like deteriorated. I slid down the side of the hill there. It was brutal. And then the year that I ran Yamacraw,
it was a shortened year, wasn't it?
Well, probably. It was a year that you had the rafts that you had to jump across.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. Then you did run the full regular course. Yeah. I was wondering if you were getting ready to say, because there was one year that spot, it's the Rock Creek crossing was so high, like we couldn't even do rafts. It was too dangerous. So we had to do a reroute, and the course ended up being like really, it was short of a 50K. It was kind of coming in at like 29 miles or something. So, well, I'm glad to hear you got the full 34 out of it for your first 50K and the raft experience, because I think we've moved the race now to May, hopefully to kind of avoid that stress. Like every year it was, we were having to worry about, are we going to have, to figure out the raft thing. And, I'm hoping now, but gosh, you never know.
We had Swiftwater Rescue this year.
Yeah, we did have Swiftwater Rescue down there this year. But man, I mean, you're in Middle Tennessee. I don't know if you're getting the same kind of weather we've been getting this month, but and then obviously, what's gone on in Eastern Kentucky just recently with all the flooding they've had, just terrible news. But I mean, we are hoping that May will be a little bit better for us, but man, you just never know. All it takes is like a good downpour, and those creeks and rivers rise pretty quickly. So,
absolutely. And the year that I ran it, I'll never forget it. It was so cold that morning, and it was cold. And then, of course, there was like something like 46 creek crossings. Yeah. And so your feet was like wet the entire time. And I remember my buddy was like, "I'm going to change socks." And I'm like, "Why are you going to change socks?" Because your feet are going to be wet like just shortly thereafter. And then we had the raft thing, And then literally, like, I don't know, maybe 3 miles before I finished, it started snowing. And I was like,
Oh, that was a snow year.
We remember that. Yeah, I remember that year for sure. Yeah.
and my legs, I remember taking a picture of my legs, and it was caked with mud, like halfway up my calves. I was wearing like black tights, and it was just caked from that course. And it was just, and it's funny because it's such a great race, and I need to get back out and run it. I got involved in trying to just run a bunch of different other races, and then I definitely want to get out and run it again, because I didn't even show you. I have a Yamacraw tattoo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow, that's so cool.
That is awesome, man.
Yeah. So I've got, like, I got my first 50K, I got my first 50 miler, and so Yamacraw really, it's a special race to me. So I guess, let's get the story. Like, do you guys, you guys runners, like, how did all this kind of take part or come together?
Do you want me to start, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't really a runner. I mean, I played like team sports, growing up. High school, I wrestled and played football, sort of. I mean, I was like probably 5'6", not even 100 pounds when I got into high school. So like, and I was always athletic and stuff, but didn't really love running. And then we met obviously years later, and I've said this before, but I just got out of shape. Like, we got pregnant, and I put on the pregnancy daddy weight, and just wanted to get back in shape. And I signed up for my first 5K, and well, actually I had signed up for a half marathon first, but I was going to do a 5K, right before it. And I got injured after that race, and didn't get to do my half marathon. So I just started, in my downtime, I was like, just kind of, I was so into the sport of running at that point. Like, it was just a lot of fun. So I started reading, and I just kind of fell into Born to Run, so not a super unique story. A lot of ultra runners, that's kind of how they're introduced to the sport. But I didn't even, like, it's funny, like, I grew up hiking and stuff, but I never really even thought, like, people run on the trails and stuff, like, you never really saw it a whole lot. I mean, mountain biking, I did some mountain biking before that and stuff, but so yeah, once I was healthy, I, like, all I wanted to do was get out on the trails, and try it out. So I started doing that for a bit, and then I think I won like an entry into a trail race that was kind of local here in Knoxville, called a War at Windrock. It was like a stage race thing. Mm-hmm. It's not around anymore, but it was kind of up towards Frozen Head at Windrock Park. And I loved it. I had a lot of fun. I did pretty well for the first time, and just wanted to, start doing more. So, like, right after that, I signed up for my first 50K, which was in Montana. It's the Rut 50K. So my first 50K, I'm like getting up to elevation, over 10,000, and climbing, what is that, Lone Peak Mountain. So that was it was an awesome experience. And I guess that's how I got into, like, the whole running scene there. And I guess what had happened was I kind of was, I had run that Windrock race, or I'd run it. And then someone local was like, oh, we should try putting on a race or something like that. And I was like, all right, I don't know how interested I was at first in that, but I helped with some races and stuff, and then just was like, maybe give it a try. And this guy who approached me about putting on a race up in the Kentucky area, wanted to do it in the Big South Fork. And I had been going to the Big South Fork for probably 12 years before that, just like paddling and stuff, and backpacking. So I don't know, like when I started looking into how we would run the course, like the trails and stuff, I just was like, oh, we got to bring people here because not enough people know about it. So I guess that's the like kind of me rambling quick way to get to how I got into race directing, sort of. Yeah. You want to?
I'm not really a runner. I swam in high school and college and still try to get in the pool. And, but even as a family, we're love to go hiking and, you know, taking trips up to Big South Fork. And when Brian had initially started driving up there and coming back and saying, oh my gosh, this part, and we'd pull the map out and kind of work together. How do we get this mileage? Where do we send people? How do we do this? You know, it was really to, bring people to the area to show it off. And then because trail running had become not really for the racing, first, second, third place, but an understanding of getting people out there and like what it brings to those people. You know, we have a lot of people who run Yamacraw and the podium's not even on their list. It's, you know, the photos they get, the time they have, the friends they meet, and
just the experience.
Just the experience. So, you know, and we knew we could bring that to people. So I think that's really kind of what started Yamacraw, was the experience of it all.
Yeah, and we wanted to put on like a first-rate, you know, trail running event, and I mean, like that area is pretty impoverished, you know, so like to see where it's come from, like, I mean, I remember when that first year, before I opened up registration, I was like thinking, it'd be good if we got like 30 people or something. I mean, I'd be thrilled, like first year event, like it'd be great to have like 30 to 50 people. And then like we opened up registration and like they just started coming and like, I mean, it took, I guess it took about 2.5 months, and then the race completely sold out, which was, I mean, just like, I mean, we were still probably 6 months out from the race, or like 4 months out or something. I was like, oh my gosh, like we sold this race out, you know? So
and we have to do a good job.
Yeah,
we have to make it amazing now.
Yeah. So, but I think I knew all along, not that we would be successful. I mean, I know,
but it would be special.
I knew that people would love it. Like I knew they would come to the area, and I knew they would love the trails, and like there's just so much to see there. It's so diverse. Like I knew like all we had to do was get them there and like get them that experience, and then like word of mouth, you know, it would just spread, and that's kind of what it's done. I mean, we still have to do our part. Like we still have to, you know, we can't take the foot off the brake or off the gas, right? So we got to keep putting on a really great race and trying to like give people. What's cool is like every year we're seeing a lot of the same people come. So I think that's also a pretty good testament to what we're doing, because you know, a lot of people go do a race and like, oh, that was a great experience, but then they go looking for something else and stuff. But like to get so many people coming back year after year, I think like, I don't know, like I think we're doing something right. At least it feels that way. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's an understatement. I think, you know, you just look at what, like, I mean, again, not to keep harping on, my experience, but like, you and everybody likes that race picture, right? And literally that signature picture that you guys took the year that I ran it, in front of where you're running, and there's like this waterfall behind you, but it's like a close-up of you with the falls behind you, was just, it's literally like my best, like race photo, like, ever, because it really like just captured what that race, really was. And it didn't capture how tough it was, because it was really it was really a tough day. I mean, for me, of course, it was my first one. I heard the guy that set the course record that day, just like hopped across the rafts on like one foot and like leapt up and over into and just took off. But like, for me, it was really, it was a tough day, but it just captured just the how beautiful that course really is. I guess when you look at, you made it sound really easy. Did it take a while to get like that trail kind of mapped out? Because if I remember correctly, it's been several years obviously since I ran it, but I remember, there were several little intricate little moves that you had to make. There was like a road section I remember you walked across, and a bridge that you went down right before you went across the rafts and stuff like that. Like, was there, how familiar were you of that trail system? And how long did it take you to really kind of, you guys, to get that put together to turn it into what it is now?
Yeah, I was more familiar with the river. And I had done some hiking and stuff there, but not that whole course. There were trails that I had never been on when I first like put the map in front of me and was trying to figure out the course. I knew that I wanted to I wanted to get people to certain places. In particular, I knew, like, I had been to Blue Heron because the rafting trips and stuff that I had taken had always started at Blue Heron. And so I was pretty familiar with that in the Tipple Bridge. And I kind of was like, man, this would be the spot. Like, this would be the spot to finish and have people come across that bridge at the end. It's just like an iconic finish. So like, I was trying to figure out how the course to get
work backwards from there. And
yeah, but yeah, I like the first time I actually hit those trails, a lot of those trails was planning for the race. So I'm like ecstatic, like I'm running down these trails, especially the first trail that you guys are on at the start, that Lick Creek Trail. It's probably awesome. It's one of my favorite trails in the whole area. And it's not relatively like a tough trail. I mean, it's technical for sure in spots, but it's so awesome. Like, within a mile, you're seeing some amazing rock features. You're like winding through this like overhang and stuff. And then like you drop down to the creek level, and it just like changes, like the diversity of the like plant life and stuff changes, and you're going for about 3 miles along the creek, and it's awesome. And then it, like, right at the end of that, you've got that Princess Falls, which is just a sweet spot. So yeah, like when I mapped it, but then like I had to go out there and make sure, like, is this going to work? And, can we, because there's a lot of logistics. So this race, actually, it's funny because a lot of people are, when I tell them I put on a 100-miler, especially a loop 100-miler that really doesn't hardly repeat itself at all, people imagine like that's got to be way harder. But to be honest with you, like, there's so many logistics with Yamacraw as far as shuttling people, and the finish area is a tough area because while there's parking and there are restrooms, like there's not the facilities you would kind of want, especially like, it's going to be better now that we're doing it in May, but like that year you ran it, you probably
trying to keep people warm.
yeah, like you probably experienced it. it was really cold that year, and we were
Mhm.
trying to make sure people stayed warm, and they had to, like, because of the shuttle situation, it's not like you get done and you got your car there to get into and warm up. Like, people were waiting for a shuttle bus and stuff. So, and that was a big reason why we moved the race. Just you could get some scary situations with hypothermia and stuff, you know. It's funny because, like, the first year we ran Yamacraw, it was like 85 degrees. People were getting IVs at the end of the race because they were
So high.
so dehydrated and stuff. So it's funny, like, April is just crazy, which is a lot like October, you know, in the Southeast. So, but yeah, like, the first time I went out there was me trying to figure out if this could work. And so I'm just like, as I'm running through some of these trails, I'm just like, oh my God, like, wait till people see this. I can't wait to get people out here. And to be honest with you, like, I still have that experience when I'm out there with my buddies that help do the trail maintenance with me, and trail marking, like course marking. I have that experience every time. In fact, course marking it has always been like one of my favorite parts of putting on the event. Like, I don't know. It's like a week of, I get to go out there and just be on the course, you know, and
It's quiet because
it's
there's
quiet.
hardly any self coverage. So it's a break from all the work leading up to doing something he loves. So
I mean, it is
Yeah.
like, it's a lot
his
of
reward
it
for
is-
putting it on almost.
yeah. I mean, it's stressful, like, putting on these events for sure. Like, there's just so much there's so much you got to do, like, leading up to it. And you know, I'd be lying if I didn't say there's times, like Shelley will tell you, like, there's times where I'm like, I can't, why am I still doing this? Like, and I love it, but and honestly, most of them surround, like, just frustration with, like, land management. I'll be honest, like, that typically is what is the biggest stress. But I mean, not that I don't support those folks. I mean, you know, but it's just bureaucracy, red tape type stuff that, like, that makes life frustrating. But I do enjoy putting on the races. And I mean, the best part is, besides the trail marking part, is really the finish line. Like, there's just nothing like it, just getting a chance to high five everybody, and you know, man, give people hugs. Like, we meet so many people, and I wish, like, you wish you knew everybody's name, right? I mean, especially the folks that come a lot, and you do start to know these people, even if it's not by name, just by face and stuff. So, like, you make these relationships, and to see them, you know, especially with the 100, of course, to make these huge accomplishments, and they're breaking down, you know, at the end of the race and stuff. So you get emotional. It's really something special. So,
Well, and you know, your finish is iconic. I mean, you know, when I think of the two, you know, when I think of my two favorite finishes of any race, you know, Yamacraw was number one for me. And I remember, because it was really cold, and I remember finishing it, and you were there, and you gave me my medal. And then somebody else looked at me and was like, and it was like, you need to sit down. I guess I looked like garbage or something. And I was like, no, I just want to, you know, I want to, you know, I want to keep moving. And they told me where the food was, and I went down there, and I didn't want any food. And it just so happened that a shuttle was there, and I went and I sat in the shuttle, and I was just like completely just like zoned out. But it was so surreal, because I remember texting my friends and saying, I'm an ultra runner now, because it was such a big deal.
yeah.
You know, and then my second biggest finish was favorite finish was when I ran the Damn Yeti up in Damascus with Jason Green. I'm pretty good friends with him. And you know, but it was like you said, you know, the hug, and it was just like, you really felt like a genuine, like, like there was a genuine happiness that you felt crossing the finish line from you guys there receiving the runner. It wasn't just like, and there's nothing wrong with this race at all, and I'm not trying to call it out, but it's not like when you finish Strolling Jim and you cross the finish line and there's just some people clapping and, you know, somebody sitting at a timing table and, you know, they hand you your medal and, you know, you go get some chicken, you know, because Strolling Jim is like an iconic race. But it's just a different feel, right? You know, like you said, you know, like there's a genuine happiness for that runner that accomplished such a huge goal, whether it's their first time or their fifth time, right? I mean, it because you know as well as I do, running these things, you know, any given day you can run a PR, and then any given day you can fall out and 5 miles in and
just have one of the worst days.
One of the worst days. So you know, pivoting from Yamacraw into No Business, you know, I remember when No Business came out, and I remember I'd still not attempted 100 at that point, and I was like, you know, do I want to run it? And then I read the course description, and I was like, there's no way in hell I want to try to make this my first 100, because it just sounded so damn hard. And then, you know, of course, you know, everybody started running it, and then now, you know, No Business is kind of blown up as well for you as a pretty big race, right? And you know, you did Yamacraw. What was it or when was it did you decide I want to, you know, make the jump and make it 100-mile race?
I can tell that story.
Yeah, you can tell that story. Was it year 2? It was after year 2, I thought, or was it after year 1?
After year 1. Oh. So we would have like the after dinner and kind of the first couple of years after Yamacraw, we'd do the awards and a raffle and have beer and food and everything.
And this is back up in town, like after
at the Heritage Hall where the check-in is. And we're sitting there, it's late. It's, you know, a lot of our friends who've come out to run Yamacraw that first year who are still kind of hanging around. A lot of are either camping or really staying quite close. And you just get that chill vibe. I think we had some music, and Brian's up there reading raffles, and we're all kind of, the audience kind of, you know, the runners are all joking back and forth with Brian. And, you know, he's just like, any questions, anything else? And everybody's yelling out, 100-miler, put on 100-miler. And he was like, yeah, funny. And so the locals who had helped us so much with the first year, really at the end of the second year, they started nagging Brian, do the 100, come, like, we're gonna have a cookout, you're coming, we're gonna get the map, we're gonna talk about this 100. And so we didn't really start talking about it till after the second year of Yamacraw, and then it took us 3 more years to put it on, I think.
Maybe 2, but
or like 2 full planning years, because it was tough. Like, it was a tough.
Well, I don't know that, like, originally, so my goal wasn't necessarily to do 100 miles. I wasn't like, I have to do a 100-mile race.
We didn't want to force it.
Yeah, I didn't want to force a course. I'm all about really, like, and I like to do the challenging courses. I don't mean like challenging as far as like, I'm going to make you go up this mountain 30 times, just back and forth and back and forth. I don't really like the contrived races. I mean, they're great. Like, it's awesome to challenge people in that way, but I'm more of like, I want to get them to locations. I want to show off an area. I want them to see, like, in the Big South, like, has all these spots that are special that I wanted to get people to. So I was working with a buddy, just a friend that knows the area really well. He's a backpacker and stuff and hiker, and wrote a book about, I think, trails in Kentucky. He got a book out. So we were kind of working on it together, and I just, like, was like, I want to get people to here and to here. And we kind of worked on, like, I think we should take this route. Like he would know some of the trails that I didn't know and be like, oh yeah, that, that's definitely doable, or that's like garbage horse trail. You don't want to take people down that. So, I mean, that was basically how I came up with the course. I knew like,
and then he went and checked a lot of the trails, and even
all of them. I had to run them all. I mean, I had to run them all because I had to make sure like they would work, and I had to make sure that logistically we could do aid stations and stuff. So yeah, so I had to do the entire course. Oh, you made me lose my train of thought. Sorry. But no, it's okay. Oh, well, the name No Business came out of a backpacking trip with the same guys who helped me with the trail work and stuff. I think it was after year 1 or 2, probably after year 1, we decided to go on like a 20-mile backpacking trip, and we went right through No Business. I mean, it's a real like old community there in Big South, and my buddy Andy was like, you got to call it No Business. It's like and like as soon as he said it, I was like, yep, you're right. Like this will be the perfect name for this race. So and that's basically how the start of the race came about. I knew, this is what I was thinking of. I knew I always liked, I looked at races like Western and Hard Rock and obviously like UTMB and those kind of things. And I was like, man, those like iconic ultra races, and something about Hard Rock's fact that it was like a single loop course that they reversed every year. I loved that whole concept. Like, I just thought that was really cool. And so it's not like I went out to do that, but when I found a course that I could do that, like when I was mapping it out and it was like, oh, this could work out. Like I was I think when I originally mapped it out, it was at like 78 miles. And I was like, oh, that's kind of an odd number. It's like not 100K, it's not a 100-miler. So, we did kind of work on trying to figure some things out to take people to a couple other areas, and then like really opening up Pickett. I don't know if you've been to Pickett State Park or not, but man, it's really a fantastic state park in Tennessee. Like one of my favorites. It's got so much to offer, so much to see. The trails are great. And the folks there are great. When I was talking about like having stress from land management, it's not from Pickett State Park people. Those folks are like, they will bend over backwards to help you out. They don't break their rules, but man, they'll go out and like get firewood for you, and they're such awesome people. So we're thrilled that now the race actually is hosted out of Pickett. The first 3 years? Yeah, the first 3 years we did it out of Blue Heron, and it's just like, it's a tough spot to put on a 100-mile race, to be out there that long without like the facilities, right? So and we had a year where at No Business where it got really cold and people were out there like just under a tent, and like, and there was a burn ban that year, so it was super cold. We were like just all huddled around like a propane heater. But anyway, so I've rambled again, but that's kind of how No Business kind of came up. We were at a after party for Yamacraw, and people were just yelling out, we want 100-miler. Yeah. So we're like, okay. I mean, I knew I wanted to do something longer distance, but I wasn't sure at that point, like where or what, but anyway.
And the cool thing about No Business is, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I may, my memory might not be as good, but didn't Carl Meltzer run No Business?
Yeah, he did. He ran it the first year we moved to Pickett, and it was that COVID year. So was that 2020, I guess? Would have been 2020. Yeah, 2 years ago. So everything was everything was, like fresh. It felt like putting on a brand new race in a way, because I mean the course was pretty much the same. It's funny, like we've had to do adjustments a little bit every year, just things change with the trails and stuff a little bit, but yeah, he came out and had a great race, got the course record, he raced a young guy, what's that kid's name? Really good runner. Blake, I think was his name.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I hate that I forget his name, but great kid, like super nice kid. And like I say kid, he was like probably 22 or something like that. But I mean, him and Carl were battling it. And then like from what I heard, about 17 miles out at our Peters Mountain aid station, they were there kind of about the same time. And then Carl took off, and that guy, I think his name was Blake, just never saw him again.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, it comes with experience, right? I mean,
sure,
you know, when you win a lot of these things, you know what you need to do to seal the deal. It was like I was interviewing, you know, Jeff Browning a few months ago, and we were talking about it, and you know, he was, you know, talking about the, you know, kind of the art of running the 100, you know, because he's right behind Carl, and you know, it's just, you know, they just know how to turn it on and seal the deal. But I think it's a testament though to, like, you know, the namesake of what your races, what y'all's races really are, because, you know, they've grown, that get some pretty big notoriety to where, you know, you have some, you know, your Carl Meltzer's coming out and running it.
Well, and I have to say, like a big part of that, I've got to give credit to Hoka. Like, I guess that was probably the first year we teamed up with Hoka, and
First race.
Yeah, the first race, and man, like we were working with another company before that, and like it's just night and day. Like the experience with Hoka it
was a real harmonious partnership to work with them. I mean, they came out and were great, above and beyond just being a sponsor team. They were volunteers, they were involved, they were excited, like they, you know, they wanted to be there, and they gave personally, like the people who came out gave personally so much to the whole weekend. And we're like, we want to do more next year. Like, we loved it. We want to do more. And then last year they brought like a team of like 8. And, you know, they had someone last minute drive up from Savannah, and she had a great weekend and like wants to come back. And so, you know, that kind of symbiosis, you know, I feel like echoes, you know, they are a big vehicle, you know, they're nationwide, worldwide company. And
well, everybody knows that name, you know, everybody knows Hoka, and like everybody knows that they're one of the leaders in our sport as far as like brands that are out there,
innovative.
Innovate. I mean, and to have their backing is just, I mean, it's huge for us. Like, it just shows like that, you know, not only that they're supporting, because like we're a young race. I mean, what are we, like going into year 6, I guess? So like, you know, and we're starting, I mean, we're selling out quicker and quicker and stuff. So we're becoming a popular race, and that's always been a goal. But like, to have the type of backing that we have from such a big company like Hoka, it's huge. It sends a message, I think, to runners that, especially on the East Coast, where a lot of times, you know, us East Coast runners feel a bit slighted. But to have a company like Hoka back our race, and like, I mean, they're not only like the support as far as like being a sponsor now, like, and I'll announce this here on your show, like they're now a presenting sponsor of No Business. Like they're helping us with finances, I guess, is, you know, they're supporting the race. Obviously they send out a big crew, and like they're going to have a bigger experience this year with their branding and all that. So that's a big deal for us. Like, it's something that we've been looking for, you know, for like when you first get started with these things, you see all these other, right? You see, you know, Western and stuff, and they've got all these sponsors, and you see the finish line, and there's sponsors and stuff. Yeah, it's huge to have their backing, and
especially part of that too is their people. Like, it's not just throwing a check and throwing some signage at us and say, put up this sign at your finish line.
Yeah, we've had that before where it was just
their
like,
people bring so
here's some
much
awards,
to the table.
You know? Yeah.
And I think what it does is, and I think you hit, I guess if you're a race, right, and you know, you want to feel like, you know, I don't even know if this is the right word to use, but I'm going to use it anyway. It kind of legitimizes.
I use that word a lot.
Of how big your race really is, and so, you know, and it's funny because, you know, I don't know, it was a couple months ago. Me and Corey Waltering was running, and we were talking about shoe companies. Right. And we were talking about, you know, I was like, you know, when you think of running shoe companies, you know, usually you think of two, right? You think of Hoka, and then you think of Altra, and those are the two main shoe companies you think. And, you know, Hoka has really thrown their name out and really have started supporting a lot of big races. Right. Yeah. And I think, you know, getting behind No Business, you know, really kind of shows, you know, their confidence in you and your brand. And because like you said, hell, my daughter wanted to buy a pair of Hokas, and she don't run at all. She's a cheerleader, right? And she like came home and was talking about how she liked the Bondies, and I'm like, you're not gonna run in those. She goes, no, they're cute. You know, and so, but it just goes to show you how mainstream Hoka has became. You know, I see them all the time. You know, you see a lot of nurses wear Hokas. You see,
you do, yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just a really comfortable shoe, right?
And it's funny because like my first introduction to Hokas was that first year I got into trail running. I had done the Rut 50K, and a month later I was signed up for a 12-hour race, and there was a vendor, not a vendor, like a rep from Hoka for the this race was in the like Knoxville area where we're from, and there was a Hoka rep there, and I mean, like, they look like clown shoes, right? Like they were huge. These huge.
This is like 8 years ago too, when they were so new.
Yeah. So, but I'm like a 50K into that race. So I don't know, a few hours into that 12-hour race, and I'm having all kinds of issues with my feet. Like, just every step hurts. I was even having some like knee issues and stuff. And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, and I'm not going to say the shoes I was wearing at the time, but I walked over to the Hoka rep, and I was like, can I try these on? I'm like just having all kinds of feet problems, you know? And of course he was like, yeah, man, you know, throw these on. I don't remember which ones they were, but man, they saved me. Like, they saved my feet. And I ended up finishing that race in second place. Like, it was awesome. Like, they really like saved my race. So I'm a big believer in the Hokas for sure.
Yeah. And
not just because they're backing us either. Like, I mean, I tried them, you know, and they saved my event. So or my race. So I'm a big believer.
And in full disclosure, I'm a member of the Ultra Red team, so okay. I'm full on Ultra. I've been Ultra for years. I tried Hoka, and they be putting nasty blisters on my feet, and tried them multiple times, and you know, it's one of those things where I really wanted to like them, and I really wanted to wear them. I even forced it, I'm like, it has to be something I'm doing wrong. And I wore them I wore them, and the blisters just kept coming and coming. And so I never wore them again. So,
well, man, it's like always a individual thing. Like, it's funny when you get into these, like, especially when you're talking to new runners, like they're like, what should I wear? What should, like you're wearing ultras, you're wearing Hoka, you're wearing, and they want to know what you should wear, what they should wear. And it's like, you just got to try. Yeah. I mean, you got to try things out. Like, eventually you'll find what works for you, So
it's real. And I think you nailed it. It's no real, there's no secret sauce, right? It's like,
there's not.
It's like I'm running the Warhorse 12-hour tomorrow, and I'm wearing my Olympus 5s because that's what I wear. I always wear Olympus, when I trail run, and when I road run, I'm usually in Escalantes or Torrens, right? Because that's what works for me, and it's what I've used for years. And once you find that formula, like it's a Hoka. Like, I have friends that ride and die Hoka guys, like my buddy who I think is running No Business this year. He ran it last year, and I think he runs in Hokas. So it's I think you nailed it. It's just whatever formula it is that works for you. But I think that's really cool though, having them behind you, because that's, like I said, I mean, it's just having such a big company like that. And I think an elite company, when you think of the running community, because you think of Patrick Reagan, you think of Jim Walmsley, you think of Camille Herron, you think of course Carl Meltzer's got his own freaking shoe. I mean, it's such a big brand. So I would be remiss not to finish this out by asking you about a race. And I heard of it one time. A friend ran it, said it was one of the hardest damn races he ever ran in his life, and I never heard of it again.
Oh.
Was it called the Devil's Racetrack? Was that one of yours?
Yeah, it was. Well, that
it got sidelined because of COVID.
Yeah.
And it was just such a small race that I guess with moving Yamacraw and not having it for 2 years with COVID, this year it just wasn't even on the table. But we're entertaining things for next year for it. But I'll let Brian tell you about the race itself.
Yeah, it was a just under half marathon that was on the Cumberland Trail, up in the like Caryville area, like right off 75 north there, 75 north for us if you're heading north, like to Kentucky. It's a stretch from Tank Springs that's in the like La Follette area, and then it takes you to what's that state park? Cove Lake State Park. So great set. I mean, it's tough. Like you pretty much, like within the first mile, you climb about 950 feet. Like it's just like up, and then you're up on the ridgeline, and it's like serpentine, like up, down, the entire way. Some great views, some rock stuff up there. It's like you're probably familiar with the Cumberland Trail. It's just like every other part of the Cumberland Trail, like super technical and stuff. Just a really great section. The only issue is like right towards the back end of the race, before you kind of drop down, or when you drop down, there's an area that gets a lot of foot traffic from like just hikers and locals that go climb it. So like the erosion has gotten so bad on it that I'm kind of like a bit hesitant. But also the other issue was I think now what can work out is the fact that we've moved Yamacraw to May, because the first time we did Devil's Racetrack, or the year we did it, we put that on in May, and like the poison ivy was out of control, like just so bad. And that area, that section does not get maintained much. So I went out and weed eated it, and like it, at the race, I'm just like, my face, my neck covered, my arms are covered in poison ivy. Because the first day I went out, I didn't go, I wasn't smart. I didn't like wear anything, you know. So maybe if we move it to like March, it might, you know, March or something, it might be better. So yeah, we're still like
looking to bring it back.
We're looking to bring that back, or maybe include that with some other longer distance on the CT that has that section, because that section's really great. Cove Lake's a great state park to host an event, whether we finish there or start from there. So it's a great spot. So we're looking at that. There's a couple other like ideas we have. I would love to bring folks to like Knoxville to run like in the city. Like we've got some great urban trail systems here in Knoxville. So kind of looking at some options there, and I don't know. So maybe there'll be some other ultranaut races coming in the near future.
That's awesome, because there's really not a lot you really see in Knoxville. I used to actually live in Knoxville and lived in Coreyton. And
cool.
So I know that area a little bit, and so I'm familiar with the area. But I guess, you know, before I close it out with you guys, I would have to mention, how special was it to be a part of Jason Thienel's 200-mile, like, I don't even know what you would call that. I mean,
it's called the NoNo,
right? But I mean,
yeah.
I mean, just it's such a humongous feat, right? To go 100 miles, but then to go 200 miles, was just amazing. And you know, how did he approach that with you? Did he just like say, "Hey, I want to come out there and run 200 miles on your course"? Or
I mean, kind of like that. He was like, I've
known Jason a little bit before, so you know.
Yeah, he had done Yamacraw, and I mean,
and we've worked with Cumberland Transit.
Yeah, and I should say too, you know, as just like I got done saying with Hoka, like Cumberland Transit's the same way. You know, like the amount of support. In fact, like they pretty much facilitated that connection with Melanie, who's the rep for Hoka. Jason introduced us to Melanie, and then like that whole thing happened. But Cumberland Transit, they've been the same way. Like for both races, they've supported us. They've had us come out to the store and do like early packet pickup type stuff. We've done, we did like a fundraiser night, like a pint night, where we talked about the Big South Fork and our events and stuff. So they've been super supportive as well. So
yeah, I think Jason basically just said to Brian, I want to do it twice in one go.
Yeah, and like if you've seen the documentary, which I'm sure you've seen the documentary, but you should link it in. I don't know, you're on YouTube, right? This will probably go to YouTube. Yeah, you should definitely link to the documentary, because it's pretty special.
Although they cut me out of the final, because they asked me at the end of the first year's race if I thought there should be a no-no. And my reaction is priceless. I think I was like, something, I don't know, but it was like my only piece in it. And I was like, oh,
did they cut you
out of the final? But I'm kind of glad. But it was my funny 2 cents. They were like, what would it take for you to let Brian make this a 200-mile race? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, like he did just kind of come up to me. He's like, I've kind of got this idea. You know, like he says in the documentary, it was, I think that was the COVID year, and like his race had been canceled. His 200-miler race had been canceled. So I think that's where he kind of got the idea and just approached me. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a very cool concept. And, you know, in fact, I think it's probably harder to do it how he does it, because he runs the whole thing first, and then he lines up and runs the race, the 100-mile race.
And he has to make cutoffs.
Yeah, he's got to meet
Mm-hmm.
cutoffs on 100-mile legs already,
Yeah.
versus what everybody else is doing. So, and I know he, like, if you watch the documentary, you can tell, like, he learned a lot from that first year, and then he came back and he crushed it. So yeah, I mean, it's cool because, like, and folks have asked me about, like, would you, because I've had a couple other people reach out to me about doing it. So I think now that Jason has done it and finished, and that's kind of like established, like, if there were people to approach me about doing it, I would certainly say, yeah, like, I'm not going to stop you. They're public trails, but do I want to get into that whole, like, 200-mile thing that's kind of exploding all over the place? I don't know. Like, I think it would be a cool course to have an event like that, but it just takes so much from your volunteers. I mean, we'd probably have to do things a lot different, obviously. Like, that first loop probably wouldn't have, what do we have, like 14 aid stations for No Business? Like, it wouldn't have 5. It would probably have like 5 the first go, and then
the full complement for the second go.
Yeah. So, but then I've had a lot of people ask about a 50-miler. There used to be a 50-miler in the area, the Dark Sky, and I think that's not taking place anymore. So I've had people ask me about that. A lot of people are like, could you put on 100K? And we thought, one of the reasons I thought about the 100K specifically is just this, Hoka and Western have a golden ticket thing, and I don't know that they do any 100-milers. So I'm not saying we would get a golden ticket, but it would be cool to have another East Coast race out, that has a golden ticket available. And, so maybe if I had 100K or something, that they would entertain that.
And that might be like a 50-miler, 100K, might be something on a different weekend. I think No Business itself, and you talk about the finish for Yamacraw, it's real hype, like real energetic, and people stay around, they're really cheering. The finish for No Business is like walking into your family campground and they're waiting for you, like, with open arms. Like, it's such a different feeling, and it's like welcome home.
Mm-hmm.
It's different emotions, it's different energy, and I think adding races to that would take away a lot from the experience that No Business is. So and we've talked about the different distances, and it's really hard to add something that could potentially end up taking away. So
yeah,
those distances are very attractive for maybe a new event, a multi-day or weekend event in that same area, because there's still so much that hasn't been shown and explored. And
I think she just hit it on the head there. I think you guys got to find a new trail and make it 50 miles or 100K. and you can name it another cool name, because y'all have the best names. Devil's Racetrack, No Business, Yamacraw. I mean, it's just awesome. And it's funny because I've been meaning to try to get with you guys for forever, and I could never, I never could really. I had a hard time trying to figure out what your contact was, because I always go through either Instagram or Facebook, and that's how I reach people. And finally, my buddy who's running your race, he texts me your information, and he's like, you need to get him on right now. He's like, you got to get him on, because he ran No Business last year and had like the best experience ever, and like just talks about it like all the time, and is coming back this year and everything. And
well, I mean, that's like, it's humbling to hear for sure, but man, like, it really has to do with like the volunteers that we have. They just come out and they want to make it an amazing experience for runners. And it's not, it is like the local, I was going to say, it is the running community that comes out, but it is the local community that comes out as well. Like
about 50-50.
yeah. And these locals that, like, when I came to the area, they were like, what are you talking? Like, people are going to run,
Like,
30, 40, 100 miles
overnight.
Yeah.
And bring our, like, you want us to bring special food for these people?
But they have embraced it and they love it. Like, it's like,
Oh, they're setting up like a day and a half before they even need to be there. They're like campsites.
Oh, they build
cooking areas.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think somebody had like a fog machine and they had a full like grill. They were grilling out food and stuff. I mean, it's become something really special. And that's what we wanted with this race, is to become, not just like one of the most sought after races in the Southeast. I mean, I really want this to be one of the top 100-milers in the country. I want people to come out and do it. And so I think we're well on our way there, hopefully. Having, like I said, having some great sponsors, having great support from the local community, having my partner here that, helps. I couldn't do it without her. Like, I just, like, that whole build up, she does a lot, like, especially race week and race weekend, like a ton. And there's stuff going on that she's doing as well before that. But a lot of it's like, a lot of it too is like emotional support for me, because, like, I have to be honest, like, doing trail work every weekend, and then going out and marking like for a full week every day, it's exhausting. And we've got 5 kids, so like, to not be around them like that whole week, it's hard. So, like, I don't know, like, to have the support and to be able to come home and like, dinner's ready, like she's just like, it's everything. So like, I couldn't do it without her, and everybody else who helps support the race. Like, it's become something special, and I hope we can keep doing it for years to come. Yeah.
Well, it truly is a great race. Both of them. I've not done No Business, but I've ran Yamacraw, and my buddy just goes on and on and on about No Business, and this, I definitely want to give No Business, give it a twirl and see. I've still yet to finish at 100. I think I've DNF 3 of them. Same one every time, because I'm so damn stubborn. I just I just keep going back to the same one. But anyway, I really appreciate it, guys. It's been a wonderful conversation, just hearing like your story, and how both these races have came together and blown up into 2 really signature style races that, like I said, I do a lot of interviews, and usually your races are usually always mentioned, one or both of them, typically is always mentioned in them. So it's just a testament to the quality of what you guys do, and the sky's the limit, I think, honestly, with what you guys are doing. So I really appreciate it. Well,
thanks for having us on. It was really, we don't do a lot of these. We don't, yeah, like this, I think this might, like, this is the second one we've done together. I think I might have done like 2 others, but they were like years ago. Like, we were just kind of getting started and stuff. So, like, it's neat to kind of talk about the races and to hear like
feedback.
Well, not just feedback, but to hear that, like to hear your experience of coming and doing Yamacraw was really cool, and to hear that like it was your first. I mean that's really awesome. I think like that's one really cool thing about Yamacraw in particular is I think it is like it feels like a race that if you're wanting to do your first ultra, it's got a little bit of everything for you. There's you know, it's challenging enough that it's going to push you and push your limits. It's got the scenery, it's got that community feel, it's got the epic finish, and great volunteers, and you know, and we're still like we're trying to make it better and better every year. You know, this year we got Jarfly Brewery came down and was giving out, or they had beer there at the race, and we're hoping to have like food trucks down there this year coming. So trying to just add little things here and there to make it even more special. So, but
that's
yeah,
awesome.
thank you so much for having us on. It's been
Thank you.
awesome.
Oh, it's been wonderful. Well, you know, as always, guys, you know, there'll be a video and audio version depending on which one you want to listen to. Just a quick note for viewers. I'm probably going to move to like bi-weekly type interviews instead of pumping out one every single week, just because I'm going to try to start running again. My running went to the garbage can, and so I'm going to try to focus on getting my running back in going, and so probably be releasing shows about every 2 weeks now, so I can get back on the on an actual training plan and get back out, so I can run races like Yamacraw and No Business, and get back out and suffer with everybody. So but that is it. As always, you know, like I said, to be on YouTube, and then be on any sort of podcast platform you want. And I will see you on the trail.